Could it be? Could it be? It is out of here!
And it's a no-hitter! Unbelievable! Ruiz and Halladay embrace!
Champion!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top!
We're talking about the Lions here.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Specific Jawns podcast. I'm joined, as always, by two of my good friends. That is Mike Sambuco. That is Bubba. I am your host for this episode, Pat Barker. Talking about your fightin' Phils, who I actually got to see in person yesterday. I don't get to do that often, living out here on the West Coast. Took the train ride down to San Diego to see Cristopher Sanchez make a little bit of history. I'm hoping they can keep it together for at least the next 3 games at Dodger Stadium, because I'll be there. This is in some ways an exciting team to watch. In other ways, I would argue still a pretty tough watch. We're going to get into all that. I don't want to be too negative coming off a 3-game sweep. So let's just get this thing rolling right now. Before I start, just a general question. How are you, gentlemen?
You're asking on a good day. I mean, coming off of Chris Sanchez and his masterful performance once again, things are looking good.
Yeah, doing good over here. Ready to, for the Phillies offense to finally turn things around. But yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. We will surely get into it. Let's start, because it's rare that we get to do these on an off day. So we're recording this right now on the off day between San Diego and LA. The Phillies coming off of a little bit of a tough homestand against the 2 Ohio teams. I felt a little bit of negativity start creeping back in there. A lot of people getting worried about a losing homestand right ahead of this West Coast trip against 2 teams that have been very good so far. And they handled business down in San Diego, a 3-game sweep. Jesus Luzardo and, of course, Sanchez were dominant in the bookend games. And in the middle, Aaron Nola was good enough, which I will certainly take. Mike, let's start with you. Did you watch the games? What was your big takeaway? How are you feeling about the 3-game set?
The only one I was not able to watch was the one that started after my bedtime. I was able to catch the highlights the next morning, thankfully. I love those YouTube about 10-minute highlight clips to show you everything and everything. But I was able to listen to Sanchez and him hit that record while I was mowing the lawn. Loved listening to Fransky and Stocker on that one. But it was a great day in Phillies history. I mean, this is not something that comes up very often, but great to sweep the Padres too. So, good team on the road. Typically, they do play fairly well at Petco Park, but don't have the troubles that they do at Petco Park that they have in San Francisco and Colorado and Arizona out west. But love to see them pick back up on the road where they left off.
Yeah, they looked good. It's nice to see them beat the Padres. Manny Machado, a couple times during that Sanchez game, I thought he was gonna break that streak. He came close a couple times. Yeah, had me a little nervous there. But yeah, I mean, it was. I don't want to take away from sweep. That's great, but there's, I think, reasons to be concerned because we're just seeing the same pattern over and over. So, I mean, yeah, it's great. Yeah, beat the Padres, sweep them, have some momentum going into the Dodgers series. That's good. I'm all for it. But yeah, there's some concerns underneath, rising up that I think all Phillies fans are aware of. And so, but yeah, I don't want to get too negative about it. It was a good win. Happy, good series. Happy they swept. And I'll try and focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, and we will get into those issues. As much as I say, I don't want to be too negative, that's the reality of the situation, right? This is the team. We're all watching the same team. We all see what's happening here, and it's much better to have a flawed team win 3 games than lose 3 games. But that doesn't mean that they're above people, calling out their flaws. And that is certainly what we will do. For now, I will just stick with the San Diego series. And yeah, the Machado thing, I'll tell you, it was an unseasonably cold day down in San Diego. I had the hoodie on underneath the jersey, which,
So
needless
what?
to
It
say,
was 65 degrees. Is that unseasonably cold?
here's the thing, and there's no way I could say this without sounding like a pussy, so I will just embrace it. And I'll say, when I first moved to Southern California, I laughed at the people that I have now become. I'm one of them. It was
You wear a
65.
winter jacket when it gets to be 60 degrees. Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah, and I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is, man. And I don't know how to explain this, but 65, it's not even about the temperature. When the sun is not out, because we get, I think it's like 330 days of sun a year. So when you get a day with no sun, and the sun did peek through later in the game, but before the game, I pulled up my weather app and I expected it to say 37, and it said 65. And there's no way. It was very what I'm getting at is, on a warmer day, a more traditional late May day in San Diego, I think that Machado ball in the third inning is gone. Off the bat, I thought it was gone. I thought he was going to come up an inning and 2/3 or whatever short. And it just kind of died out there. Same with the ball that Crawford caught, which was an incredible catch. But I think most of the time that ball is gone. Not to take anything away from what Sanchez did. He was, of course, he just finished a month where he didn't allow a run, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, those Machado ones definitely scared the hell out of me. But they survived. They got just enough big hits and just enough, clutch hitting to get away with the wins. So
Yeah, there was even that one ball hit to right. I think it was in the third inning. And I texted you saying, Kruk just said, "Oh no, damn." Live on the broadcast when the ball fell short of the wall into the right fielder's glove, into Garcia's glove.
yeah, there were 3 different balls that off the bat, I was like, well, that's it. But in order to have a month without allowing a run, I think you're entitled to a little bit of luck. I think it's probably hard to do it without a little bit of luck. The fact that he was able to miss his spots and get away and survive just, shows kind of how good this stuff is. And otherwise, no walks and 9 strikeouts. He wraps up a month where he goes 39 innings across 5 starts, almost 8 innings a start, does not allow a single earned run, and I believe it was only 3 walks against 45 strikeouts. Now, look, we've all seen some incredible runs from Phillies pitchers. Cliff Lee 2011 is the first thing that jumps to mind. I know Halladay had maybe 2 more complete years. He won the Cy Young, but Cliff Lee for a stretch in 2011, you just felt like he was going to throw a complete game shutout every time out there. Whereas Halladay, I always kind of expected a run somewhere. But Sanchez, I can't remember Lee ever delivering even to this level. This is truly historic stuff. And now he is 1 more scoreless start away from moving into 3rd all time for the longest scoreless inning streak. I think right now he's 11th, including the dead ball era, but a bunch of guys like right in front of him are in the same 1 to 2 inning pitch range. If he gets another, say, 6 scoreless, he's going to be 3rd behind Hershiser and Drysdale, and then it's him. That's it. I don't even have the words to put into context what we have seen out of Cristopher Sanchez. Maybe you guys do. Break it down for me. What has this last month been like watching him for you guys?
Well, I was going to compare it to the Cliff Lee's 2011 month of June, where, yeah, he was absolutely dynamite. But actually, I saw a comparison of the stats of Cristopher Sanchez's May versus Cliff Lee, and Sanchez has the better stats. I think had the for that month. I think Lee maybe had more complete games, but that was about it. I mean, Sanchez didn't let up any runs. Had more strikeouts. I think Cliff Lee's ERA that month was like 2-1. So yeah, it's still pretty great. But you're right. It is. He really is dealing on another level, and it doesn't feel like he's just like he's hot right now. It feels like he's really found himself and is just can't be stopped. His sinker changeup combo is absolutely deadly. They come out looking the same way. You know, he can hit you with that sinker down and then he fools you with the changeup with with the off speed and just the drop. It's crazy. His changeup has a 50% whiff rate right now, which is absolutely bonkers. Batters are hitting 153 against it, slugging 175. Like, I just don't know as a hitter what you're supposed to do against this guy. He's absolutely fantastic. And, we, as Phillies fans, we've been spoiled with some great pitching, the four aces. But this is real, and Zach Wheeler, too. Yeah, no disrespect to Zach Wheeler. But this is really amazing what he's been going through. I'm curious, though. His next start is slated to be against the Padres. So seeing them again that quickly will be interesting. I'm curious to see if he can, put another shutout, throw another shutout against them. That would be unbelievable. That's when I would be going crazy and ready to run up and down Broad Street celebrating.
Yeah, and it's wild. Just looking at the Padres' record, you wouldn't expect their offense to be so far down in the rankings, but they're towards the bottom of the list, and just about every offensive stat that's meaningful, they're just really struggling with the bats right now. You look at players that like Machado and Jackson Merrill, they're just not having the years that you would expect them to. So maybe you're getting them at the right time, but we've all heard about the struggles of Tatis and in terms of the power numbers, but he still is decently productive everywhere else. Anyway, I wanted to go and just kind of, in my eyes, I felt that the scoreless month, let's just talk about the scoreless month aspect of it. It's happened twice in Major League Baseball history. Obviously, Hershiser was one of them with the longest streak at 59 innings, but he and Chris Sanchez are the only two starters really to have a scoreless month. And to me, based on that, it being one of two pitchers, it's more impressive than even pitching a perfect game. Like, this is so rare that we just need to cherish what we're seeing in front of our eyes today. We're lucky to have this experience. I mean, there are so many fans in Philadelphia right now that maybe missed out on some of this run because they're in that just get me to October mindset. And that's what happens. This is the stuff you miss out on if you just ignore the regular season. So, you miss out on these fantastic performances that just come once in a lifetime. So cherish it while you can. I'm going to try and get to his next game. It sounds like it's probably going to be Wednesday against the Padres, but if it is Tuesday against the Padres, he lines up to face the White Sox at home on Sunday. That would be really cool if he gets through the Padres game to top that scoreless inning streak at home as opposed to on the road in Toronto the next day. So anyway, again, he's on the verge of history. Needs two more perfect starts essentially to get there, but it's pretty remarkable what we're seeing, and also remarkable he's not the type of pitcher that's just blowing fastballs by hitters he's not throwing 100, he's not throwing 102 like Mizorowski. He's throwing 50 pitches over 100 miles per hour in his last start. He's had a fantastic month himself, but is going to miss out on the Pitcher of the Month award in all likelihood. But it just goes to show that you need to have those secondary pitches, and Sanchez has them.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, I might be the only one rooting for him to break it 3 games from now versus 2 games, because the third game, and I looked ahead, would line him up to pitch in Milwaukee, and I will actually be out there for a friend's bachelor party. Now, when a friend comes to you and goes, hey, I want to do a bachelor party weekend in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you start thinking, that sounds like a terrible idea. Why would anybody want to do that? I'll do it, but objectively, terrible idea. And now I'm looking at it like this guy might be a genius. Because we're planning to go to the Phillies games at Miller Park on Saturday and Sunday, and I kind of looked ahead, and if they stick on the 5-man rotation, I think it would be that Sunday. So look, that would involve him throwing 2 more scoreless outings. But as you said, the Padres' offense has been putrid, and the White Sox have actually been better than I think a lot of people expected. Shout out to Murakami and the gang, but certainly it's possible to even have this discussion about it being in play is a testament to just how amazing Sanchez has been over the last month. And I think you're right on the money when you say the fans who are in get me to October mode are missing out on a lot of really good stuff. Historically, I think when you're a Philadelphia sports fan, it is really dangerous territory to be like, wake me up for the playoffs. Because we've seen how the playoffs go 99% of the time. Get some enjoyment out of whatever. If you're not, then you are missing the boat. I think there's so much malaise around this team because of the lack of moves. Because I don't remember it being like this back in the day. I remember everybody appreciating Halladay and Lee, and they were all in during the season and everything like that. This is something different where I think the fans are just kind of like fed up. And I would encourage everybody, enjoy what you have, because Wheeler and Sanchez and what those guys are doing, and Schwarber, like, this is stuff that, I'm 43 years old. There have not been many players on the level of those guys. So there's no guarantee we'll ever win a championship with them, but I would advise everybody to follow Mike's advice and just enjoy what's going on. Bubba, your stat about 50% whiff rate on the changeup, I want to thank you for bringing that to the table, because I was looking as if there weren't enough stats to properly contextualize just how good Sanchez has been. A scoreless month should do it, but somehow 50% whiff on the changeup is just mind-boggling to me. You said 175 slug against it, just absolutely incredible. It's not a fluke, because he was amazing last year too. And the only thing that bums me out even a little bit is, I feel like most years he would be a clear frontrunner for the Cy Young at this point after what he's done. But this is shaping up to be an all-timer of a Cy Young race. Mizorowski has been unbelievable. Ohtani threw 6 no-hit innings last night, and his ERA went up to 0.82. Chris Sale has been absolutely incredible. Chase Burns has been unbelievable. They keep trying to act like Paul Skeens deserves to be in the conversation. He doesn't, but there's enough. Skeens might not even be top 10 at this point. That's how good the pitch is.
I read a stat yesterday that if Skeens threw 62 consecutive scoreless innings, his season ERA would still be above Sanchez's right now.
Yeah. So Sanchez has put himself in a great position, and yet still might not be enough. I would love to see him get a little bit of hardware at the end of the year, but of course the World Series trophy is what we are all hoping for. Let's talk about the offense, though.
Before we do the offense and get a little, we're going to be a little negative. Real quick, I have a fun hypothetical for you guys. If the playoffs were to start tomorrow, who's your game 1 starter, Wheeler or Sanchez?
If the playoffs started tomorrow, I gotta go with the guy who has not given up a run in a month. I gotta go Sanchez.
If they started tomorrow, as the question was posed, I would start Wheeler because Sanchez pitched yesterday.
Fun fact. If the playoffs started tomorrow, the Phillies would not be in them, so maybe it doesn't matter. But they're getting closer. They are, I believe last I looked, a game out of the wild card race now, so they are knocking on the door. They will be there soon enough. Some of the teams ahead of them I think are fraudulent, but we'll save that for another podcast. Let's talk about the offense. Speaking of things that are fraudulent, maybe not even fraudulent, maybe just not good. In the last 9 games, which includes that homestand against the 2 Ohio teams and then the sweep in San Diego, Despite having a winning record, they have only scored 24 runs in the last 9 games. Their 3 games in San Diego, they totaled 10 runs, a couple of 3-0 wins and a 4-3 in the middle. Mattingly's trying. He switched Turner and Schwarber atop the lineup. He flip-flopped them, put Schwarber in the leadoff spot. Turner has responded with 2 home runs in the 2 games in the 2-hole. But even with that, the offense is not good. I heard somebody say a couple weeks ago, and I wish I could remember who it was. I was in such a blind rage that I forgot to take down their name, but I was so angry hearing somebody say, well, the Phillies are built to slug. Are they? What are we basing that on? Because you got one slugger in the lineup, Schwarber. You got one, Hall of Fame level player who also can hit for power in Bryce Harper, but I wouldn't classify him necessarily as a slugger. And then the rest of the team, I don't think is built to slug at all. Here's my question to you guys. What can be done? Is there anything that can be done with the personnel we currently have? Or are we just going to have to ride this out until the trade deadline and hope that Dombo can add a bat?
I think that's our plan. I don't think they can do anything other than tinker with the lineup as they did in San Diego, switching Schwarber and Turner 1-2. They need to get Turner going. That's, I think, priority number 1. After that, it's some order of Bohm, consistency, getting people like Stott consistent, Marsh consistent. Marsh has had a good year. Having him start pretty much full time at this point because Crawford's fallen off a cliff. They don't trust any of the platoon bats on the right side. Right now, it's Otto Kemp that they're really not even playing because they're putting Sosa in left field. I mean, they're trying the little things, but they don't have the organizational depth or any prospects to call up right now.
Yeah, there's really not much they can do. The only thing I can think of, it's like, all right, against righties, let's put Marsh at cleanup. Let's keep trying things. I mean, let's switch things up. Let's make things different. Maybe it'll take some pressure off, Adolis or Bohm, or so they can start getting a little bit better. There's really not too much besides our current guys just got to stop sucking so much. The Phillies' right-handed bats rank last in baseball in pretty much every hitting category. So yeah, I mean our pitching staff ranks like first in everything. So it's just like we can't do this all season. Like we're not like I know pitching can help you win in the playoffs, but we're not going to make the playoffs if we can't score any runs to get there. So yeah, we're really in a tough spot. Like you really need either Adolis or Trey to really start getting hot to really maybe start changing the momentum for the offense.
Yeah, the right-handed bats have been putrid, all of them. Bohm had a hot start to May. I did the episode last week with just Carl, and I was unfortunately put in the position of having to say nice things about Alec Bohm. Which I did. I'm not above doing that when he earns them. The problem is he does not earn them very often, and I don't expect it to last. I would love to be wrong about that, but I feel like he is beginning to revert back to what he actually is, which is at his peak, a serviceable major league ball player who should not be hitting fourth in any playoff team's lineup. There's just no way. JT Real Muto, there's been a lot of talk about catchers beyond the age of 35. To say that they don't have a great track record would be underselling it a little bit. That being said, I didn't expect him to look so washed so quickly. Now, this could just be a couple bad months. He could catch fire in June, so I'm not saying he is washed. I'm just saying he looks like it. Adolis Garcia, that was the wild card coming into the year. He had one good year. Are we going to get that Garcia or the Garcia who's been around for the rest of his career? Certainly looks like the latter. And Mundo Sosa, who has a history of hitting lefties, is not doing that this year. There is just no right-handed bat in this lineup. They tried with Felix Reyes. They've tried with Otto Kemp. they mix and match the pieces. But other than Turner, who I do think will, be better than his numbers are right now, I don't really have confidence in any of them. Let me just ask you this. If you had to pick one of the right-handed bats not named Trey Turner that you have the most confidence in, who would that be? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what even is that level of confidence?
Honestly, I think the most confidence I have in any of the right-handed bats is Bohm, and that level is very low. I think he's going to get back to a serviceable bat. It's just a matter of, with the depth of our lineup, he's going to have to hit in that 4 or 5 spot because we don't have anybody else right now. And that's not going to get it done when it matters most in October.
I'm going to keep holding out faith that Adolis can turn things around offensively. He's putting up similar stats to what Casty was doing, but his defensive value is much higher than Casty's. So at least we're getting that. So like it's not a total wash. It's not like, oh, why don't we just keep Casty? So I'm going to hold out for Garcia. If one of Garcia or Bohm could just like consistently get better, I feel like that would take the pressure off the other one, and then they wouldn't have to worry so much. But yeah, my confidence level in Garcia would be like a 3 out of 10. I'm not feeling too great about it.
On the Garcia piece, first couple weeks of the season, he was hitting the balls hard. He was hitting the balls hard and not getting the results. That's completely turned around. He now has more strikeouts this season than he does total bases. So he's striking out at an insane rate. And, you look at his stats last year, he hit 19 home runs, had some power, but he's not even on a 19 home run pace. He's got 4 for the season. He's got an OPS under 600 right now. It's really dire on that side of the field, and I think they're going to have to address the corner outfield situation at the trade deadline. The issue is I don't think they have many great options to trade for on the right side. And if you look at some of the bats that are out there, there's no big name that is going to really excite anybody in the fan base.
And they're all over 30 years old and on the decline. Like, in my mind, you got Byron Bruxton or Taylor Ward, Christian Walker. Those are the names that have been floated out. Those guys are 32, and 35. Hey, they'd be a perfect fit for our aging team then. Let's trade away the rest of whatever little farm development we have to go for those guys. Yeah, we're really in a tough spot, and it just keeps re-emphasizing to me how much Dombrowski didn't do enough this offseason. I think he put all of his chips in. Maybe there wasn't enough offensive help this offseason, so he went to bolster the pitching, which is fine, but like, it's just the offense is just so bad. I don't know. I don't have much faith that he's going to do anything at the trade deadline that will make anything of a difference in a way.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll throw another name out there. Why not? Just because I heard this name every year for about 7 years and I haven't heard it recently. Seems like a fun time to bring it up. Mike Trout. It's almost June. He's still healthy. He's hitting the ball hard. Maybe not consistent, but when he gets on, we're talking about a right-handed outfield bat who's posting an OPS around 900 and can still hit the hell out of a baseball if he is healthy enough to be on the field. Let's talk about it. He's owed a lot of money. I'll bet if you were willing to eat the majority of that money, you would not have to give up a ton to get him. What do you think?
It's a lot. It's a lot of money, and it's really, that would be the ultimate all-in move. But we would just be repeating what we did after we won in 2008, where we just go all in, and then we would just set ourselves up for another decade of just disappointment and mediocrity as we try and get back to it. So it's tough to like. I've wanted Mike Trout on the Phillies forever. Who doesn't as a Phillies fan? He's a local guy. He's a great, amazing player. Would love to have him, but I hate to say it. No, I don't want them to do it. I don't think it would help them. It would help them maybe in this short term until he probably inevitably gets hurt again. But then we would just be really hurting ourselves for the foreseeable future.
So the only way I think it makes sense from the Phillies' perspective is if they're able to get off of one of their bad contracts, whether that's a Nola or somebody else, because you can't take on $37 million per year, which is what he's making for the next 4 years, on top of what it would cost you in the luxury tax penalty. So it's effectively almost doubling that number. There's no way they would take that hit right now, especially with the uncertainty of this next CBA. I think they would love to have somebody like a Mike Trout on their roster. The aging core aspect of it scares me to death. But that is the type of win now move that they may be desperate enough to make because of what's coming with a potential lockout next year, an already aging core, a clear need in the outfield, a clear need in the middle of the lineup. All of that may put them in a situation where they think maybe this is the right move to make. I just don't think they will end up doing it.
Yeah, $75 million a year effectively after luxury tax penalties for Mike Trout is probably not something they should be doing, and probably not something they will do. However, it's fun to think about. I think Trout on the Phillies, in a way, makes more sense now than it did for the years that I heard everybody talk about it. And yet I'm not hearing anybody talk about it now. But now that you're right, the financial piece is a little bit tough. Mike, let me ask you this before we kind of move on and get to this next series. You're the down on the farm guy. You're the guy who knows about the prospects. Are there really no bats that could theoretically offer you more than you're getting out of a left field platoon of Edmundo Sosa and Garrett Stubbs? Is there really nobody down on the farm that could give you that level of production?
Right now, there isn't. I mean, you got Rincones, who was coming back off of an injury earlier this season, is probably the guy that would be next up if there is an opportunity for him at the major league level. It's funny, Reyes is back in AAA and crushing the ball. He's had a fantastic week, mashing home runs. It seems like him and Otto Kemp are playing the alternating game of who can dominate AAA and then get called back up and then do nothing at the major league level. But to answer your question, there is nobody, at least at the AAA level, that is ready to go to fill a need at the major league level right now.
All right. Well, that sucks. Let's move on and close out the show by previewing the next series. Again, we don't get to do this on an off day between series too often. So we got a big one coming up. Trying to avenge the division series loss last year. They have returned to LA. They are facing the Dodgers. The pitching matchups: Zach Wheeler versus Justin Robleski. These are all tentative, by the way. Andrew Painter versus Roki Sasaki. And Jesus Luzardo versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. How much stock are you putting into this series? What constitute if they lose 2 out of 3, but they play well? Is that good enough for you guys, or do you need to see a win in this series to either prove something or get over the sting of last year?
I would like to see them win this series. I think the Dodgers are playing well. They're 7-2 in their last 9 games. They scored. They're averaging 5 runs a game, pretty much double what the Phillies have been doing. But Teoscar Hernandez and Kiki Hernandez just went on the DL. Glasnow and Snell also on the DL. Diaz also on the DL. So there's it's a good time for them to win 2 out of 3 here against the Dodgers, and I think it would make a big difference and put a lot of confidence back in the team, the players themselves, and also the fans. But yeah, the Dodgers they're not going to make this easy. They have so much depth that these injuries don't mean that much to them, which is pretty scary.
I'm not going to take too much out of a late May, early June series with the Dodgers. At this point of the season, you just want to stack up wins, but I'm not going to say, oh, we avenged our NLCS loss because we even if we swept them in LA this week. I would say that I am interested to see how they do against Yamamoto and Sasaki. They struggled against Sasaki last year, and they actually were the only team to really hit Yamamoto in the playoffs last year. But just interested to see how they do against Sasaki more than anything.
It's funny, the one I'm most worried about is Robleski, who has been just another typical shitty Dodgers guy who just kind of came up without a lot of fanfare, and it was like, can he hang in the major leagues? And he was the last man in the bullpen, and then by the playoffs last year, he was somehow like a key guy. He was like one of the only guys they relied on in the World Series out of the bullpen, and then this year it's like they put him in the rotation until Snell gets back, but then thanks to injuries, he gets to stay in, and his ERA was 1.5 through his first 7 or 8 starts. I mean, just really disgusting. And with the Phillies struggling, the right-handed bats in particular, Robleski being the only lefty starter that they're going to see in this series, that one concerns me. I think him versus Wheeler, I think you might be looking at a low-scoring game tomorrow. Painter versus Sasaki, I think if they're going to score any runs, that's the spot to do it. And as you guys mentioned, I mean, they hit Yamamoto last year in the playoffs. So certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I would love it if they could win this series. I'm not going to put too much into it if they don't. But, I think it would be a nice statement series. I think the Padres were smoke and mirrors the entire time. Like you said, you look at their record and you would think that they're good, and then you look at the pieces and it just doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like, they're skating by and getting hits at the right time, but I don't believe they're actually good. The Dodgers are actually good. And I think that they're going to have their hands full, but with Wheeler and Luzardo 2 out of the 3, I think anything can happen. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. What have I missed? What have we, because we're at 37 minutes here. There are weeks where I feel like I could talk about the Phillies for hours. I really thought coming off of this series, we were going to have to fight to keep it down time-wise. But what is there anything I missed that you guys want to cover that we haven't talked about yet?
It's a little too early. The CBA going into that and potential salary cap stuff, but it's too early to get into that. That could play into maybe some of the trade deadline stuff, but maybe not. I don't know. I just kind of feel like as a Phillies fan, we're just kind of stuck in this. It's just going to be the same thing over and over all season. Pitching dominates, offense sucks, and we keep winning. Yeah, if we win a game, it's going to be 2-0, 3-0, and that's it. And I don't think that's sustainable and going to get us to the playoffs. And even if we do, I don't think it's going to win us a World Series. So I don't know. We need to see something new from this team. But as we already discussed, what moves can they make? It's just these guys just have to start hitting better. And how long into the season until everyone just goes, all right, well, they're obviously not going to start hitting at any point. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. I feel like we're kind of stuck in the mud here trying to figure out, is this team legit, or, are we one Cristopher Sanchez injury away from just falling off completely?
Don't say that out loud.
Don't speak that into existence, Bubba. We don't need that here.
Jesus. I will say this about, because I almost sent you guys a screenshot from Instagram today, which was apparently, and I don't know the validity of this, but MLB exchanged the first set of figures in terms of what they would look at for a salary cap ceiling and floor. And I almost said we should talk about it, but we got a few minutes left. Let's talk about it. Those numbers, apparently, a hard salary cap of $245.3 million and a floor of $171.2 million. And then there are 8 teams that are currently over that 245 that, according to random Instagram accounts, these teams, including the Phillies, would have to find ways to shed payroll. I don't know if I believe that they could put the thing into effect immediately and just force teams to trade guys to get under it. I don't know if there would be a gradual easing into it and you're grandfathered in with contracts that have already been signed. I don't know what the deal would be. But yeah, if the salary cap goes up to 245 and that is the case, the Phillies would have to get very creative very quickly in terms of shedding some money. Do you see those figures, Mike? And what do you make of that?
I did see the figures, and I was actually fascinated by the floor number being much higher than I anticipated, because the
Much higher.
floor of 171, there are over a dozen teams that are well below that. There's a couple teams that are 90, $80 million below that right now. So Miami's 92 below, Cleveland's 90 below, White Sox are 80 below, Washington's 77. There's a laundry list of teams that really would need to just spend immediately on this. And part of the intrigue about that is that's the starting point for their side. We have several months to go until the CBA expires on December 1st. This is going to linger out for many, many months, and potentially many months after that December 1st deadline. And I think it will take a lot of time in the off season. We're going to have this is the starting point. We're going to talk about different proposals. The cap is clearly out there from the owner's side, and an expansion of essentially the existing system is what the Players Association wants. They proposed a $300 million starting point for the luxury tax, as opposed to the current, I think it's like 244, around there. So they're miles apart right now. These were starting points, but I was surprised at what the starting point was for the floor from the owners. That ceiling number is way too low. The players are never gonna. They're saying they're never gonna agree to a cap, but even if they did, they would never agree to a number that low for the actual ceiling.
Yeah, and one of the implications too with the salary cap that's not good for the Phillies is if we have to shed salary, we need young guys to replace those guys, and we don't have a good farm system at the moment. So
yeah, let's make no bones about it. A true cap system would be extremely detrimental for the Phillies. We have thrived over the past 4 or 5 years because we can outspend other teams. We have not succeeded developing prospects. We have not succeeded in trades. We are largely succeeding because we're able to spend money in free agency. And if we lose that competitive advantage, it's going to be a rough go for the next couple years.
Yeah. Bubba, closing thoughts?
Yeah, maybe Manfred can step in and help us by offloading some of our salary to some shitty teams, and then we can get some of their good cheap players. Hey, I'll take that. Look at the Rays right now. The Rays are playing great because they're doing, they invested in contact hitters who don't drive the ball, they're not focusing on exit velocity and all that, and they're playing well because these guys are just getting on base. They found a market inefficiency, and they're going after it. That's what the Rays like to do. Hey, give me some of the Rays players. They can take Aaron Nola. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't think that's how it would go down at all. I think if they did need to immediately get to that number one, you would have no leverage trading a Trey Turner or an Aaron Nola to a team like that. Like, obviously, they have to get their payroll up. But if I'm the Rays, I would rather go to my guys who are currently in arbitration and be like, let's work out a long-term deal right now. You're going to get a younger, better player than you are by taking on Trey Turner or Aaron Nola, and at a fraction of the price. And you could still get your payroll up that way. I almost feel like it would be a thing where you would have to, almost like a Rule 5 draft, you would have to leave certain high salary guys unprotected and see if other teams just pick them up in exchange for nothing, in an effort to get their payroll above the floor. I think this would be devastating to the Phillies. If anything like that number comes in and they have to shed payroll, they have no leverage to get anything of value in return. You would literally be in a position where I think 3 of the Phillies' 10 best players you would have to lose in exchange for nothing. So
yeah, I would agree. There would have to be some sort of bundling of a good contract with a bad contract to get rid of the money. like the type of trade that would unload an Aaron Nola contract or a Trey Turner contract would also be something along the lines of like a Kyle Schwarber contract. And I just don't see them pulling that trigger, hypothetically.
Yeah, well, let's hope they win the World Series this year, and then whatever happens after this year, who cares? Who cares? So in the words of Lou Brown from Major League, or I guess it was Jake Taylor who said, "There's only one thing left to do: win the whole fucking thing." Because if they don't win it this year, I don't even want to think about what happens after that. So that being said, it's World Series or bust, and the team can't score more than 2.5 runs a game. Not a great place to be in. But I'm excited to see what happens. Until next time, I'm Pat Barker. That's Bubba. That's Mike Sambuca. This is the Specific Jawns. See you guys next time. Go Phils.
Go Phils.
Go Phils.